some of my favorite vlogs that I would put out, people would comment, "This feels like we're on FaceTime. I love it." And that was a moment where I realized, ooh, there's something there. Why it is nice to not feel like it's so produced or like, the perfect PR move or whatever. And I'm just talking to a friend.
All right. What is up, everyone? It is episode 10. And today we are doing the business side of Alisha Marie, who is one of the largest lifestyle influencers in the world. And so at the end of this podcast, I made a deal with Alisha that I am going to do these intros not as robotically as I've done them to date. I think I sound like a poor man's Gary Vee. And today that changes. So in this episode, we dive into the world of being a lifestyle influencer. And Alisha is one of the biggest. She has 8 million followers on YouTube. She's absolutely massive. But what's more, she's been on the platform for 13 years. She's been on the platform so long that when she started, you actually could not make money on YouTube. Now we got 9-year-old Ryan Toy Review making like $30 million a year. It's crazy. Needless to say, she's been on the platform for a long time. And that's a lot what we talked about. We talked about her transition from being a content creator to becoming an entrepreneur, and this transition in the lifestyle category from having this perfect life, this perfect aesthetic, highly edited photos to now a much more authentic genre where you want to show your true colors, who you really are. Then we get into top tips for upcoming YouTubers. And when you've been doing this for as long as Alisha has, you have a really interesting take on what to do and what not to do. So that's like the second half of the interview. Before I leave you, I'm going to ask, I do it every time. And I know this time, I'm looking at you. You're going to do it this time. You're going to look at your phone and you're going to look at your Spotify app and you're going to click follow. And you're going to open your Apple Podcast app and you're going to click subscribe. And why don't I write him a 5-star review? And if you're on YouTube right now, God bless you. Please click subscribe. Please like and leave a comment. All those things mean a ton. All right, let's get back into the episode. Okay, well, let's jump right in. I'm looking at Alisha Marie, and somehow I've convinced her to do my podcast. And I've been thinking about this, why she accepted doing this.
Why? What do you mean why? I'm honored. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, Ian from SeatGeek wanted me to be on his podcast. I'm a huge podcast stan, and when I found out you had one, I subscribed so quick.
I don't believe you.
I really did. Here's the thing. I love the business side of this world. So I was so excited.
I was sitting on my phone and I was like, who is going through my Twitter following? I'm saying, who is the biggest person on my Twitter following who follows me, who I don't know enough about? And it was you. And I shot that DM off and I was like, there's no chance she's actually going to respond. 2 hours later, booked, and here we are.
Here we are. I have to say, I'm not trying to discredit me in any way, but for some reason I have a lot of followers on Twitter and I kind of don't know why.
But I was like, holy shit, she has a ton of followers on Twitter.
I think it was just from doing this for so long, being one of the first creators back in the day to kind of gain traction on Twitter. I don't know, but it mind blows me too.
I mean, take credit. And that goes right into my first question. So you have 8 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yes.
You're a big deal. You can say yes to that. What does it feel like to be a creator who's been on the platform for that long? Because you've been on for 13 years.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't even know. There's been so many different waves of just YouTube in general. First of all, I have to say it's actually really awesome. I think the way that I even got into this world and YouTube was so by accident. You couldn't even make money back in the day. You couldn't even pick a thumbnail, have a custom thumbnail for videos. It was so interesting seeing it just change over the years and even being able to make money from stuff. Like I just did it because I was a girl in high school who loved makeup, fashion, beauty, thought I was good at teaching. So apparently I decided to make makeup tutorials and stuff. And then quickly realized I'm not a makeup artist like, the Jaclyn Hills of the world or, all these actually talented makeup artists. So I kind of started just shifting to do more lifestyle and personality stuff. And that's kind of what we're still doing. I'm mind blown that I'm still able to do this. But it's changed immensely. Like you used to get bullied for doing YouTube because it was not cool. Like it was all the artsy kids who used it as an escape from, life, and now it's so known. I mean, the fact that kids now, kindergartners, want to be a YouTuber more than a doctor or a rocket scientist or something, that's insane.
Yeah, I see that stat and it makes me happy, but it also makes me like 10% sad.
Yes, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I love it, but then at the same time, I mean, when I was in kindergarten, I said I wanted to be a figure skater. Like, that's what I wanted to be. And I just can't imagine a kid saying, I want to be the next Alisha Marie. Like, that's weird to me.
So back up, when you started, who were the creators who kind of were part of your class?
Like peers more?
Yeah, just like who did you start with? I was trying to figure out a way to say this in a non-disrespectful way.
Oh, just say it.
How did you maintain, I hate the word relevant, but there's like 0.000000001% of the creators who came on with you who are still active on the platform, and you've, from afar, it seems like you've reinvented yourself multiple times, or you've evolved your content. And I don't think many people have been able to do that.
First of all, thank you. I don't think you realize how that wasn't easy. And it's awesome hearing from someone who is more removed from my genre and my, you're not my typical demographic, but seeing, why, you love hauls and shopping and home decor?
I love to dream of the aesthetic that you guys have at sometimes, where it's like I wake up and I have my nice cup of coffee. Not saying this is your channel, but the lifestyle channel is very aspirational. At least it used to be. And as someone who rolls out of bed and like my life is kind of a shit show, it is a nice aspirational thing of what I could be.
Got it. I definitely relate more to the shit show part of that. But yeah, I mean, I watched Michelle Phan. I watched, oh my God, all the OG people. It was so small knit. But there was a small group of us. I grew up in Southern California, about an hour away in Riverside. So when I, got invited to a Maybelline event or a Benefit Cosmetics event, I thought I made it. I was like, holy shit, my life, I'm Hannah Montana. Like, I'm so cool. This is amazing. So I would drive my Nissan Sentra out in like the worst traffic just to get into LA to go to these events. And obviously you just start networking, but at the time it was just more of my social anxiety being, in a corner trying to find anyone to talk to. And there was a small group of us who just kind of started seeing each other at events more, did similar content, and then started collaborating and filming together. And it was so nice having someone who understood YouTube and didn't think it was weird and could help just hold the camera while you're modeling some outfits and stuff. And I mean, to your question about reinventing, it definitely wasn't easy. I mean, I unintentionally became one of the faces of YouTuber Burnout. I mean, I'm sure if you Google my name, that's one of the first things.
I need to unpack this burnout because I totally get where you're coming from, but it seemed like it was such a defining moment.
Yes, 2018, man. I mean, I was just one of the first few creators, including Casey Neistat, Lily Singh, who I love and respect all of them too. But there was a small group of us who, traditional outlets started understanding, oh, what is creator burnout? Let's talk about it. So dare I say it was a great business move? I don't know. But, when Forbes is talking about it, I was like, hey, if I'm known for creator burnout, then that's awesome. But essentially, I mean, a lot of it was just doing it for years and feeling like I couldn't delegate, I couldn't get help, because in my head, the people who have fallen off the platform were usually ones who were so quick to hire out everything. They got rid of their editing, they hired assistants, they hired everything, and they became more of a show. And then they lost the realness of their channel, and then they became irrelevant. Now, whether that's actually true or not, that's the story I was telling myself in my head. So I purposely would edit everything. I purposely loved knowing that I did it all and I didn't have help doing it. Now, that's the worst thing of life, can I just say? Worst advice I would ever tell anyone to think, because, I mean, obviously half of it's ego of just thinking that I'm still doing it all by myself. But then it just, you just start getting so burnt out. And back in the day, 10 years ago, I would easily pull all-nighters because I was so excited to edit a video that I just created. But then, fast forward 10 years, it's interesting how I would tell myself, oh, it's fine. I can get it up. I'll do another all-nighter and it'll be fine. But then slowly but surely, I just am not doing it. You slowly fall out of love with it. And I think that was really a rude awakening for me of falling out of love with what I was doing. And on top of it, I had kind of become this character of Alisha Marie, because this is where I struggle so much. Branding is great. Like, we see it on brands all across the board, but I had built a brand around myself as this relatable, down-to-earth, quirky girl who loves Starbucks and colorful things and da 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 da. And I mean, I totally lost myself. I didn't even know who Alisha was. And that's something that I'm really passionate about with creators, because also would I say like, but this is so insane. Sorry, I really just like got into this. It was so bad. I would literally purposely have a Starbucks drink behind me while I was filming, or I would purposely make things to be the aesthetic of Alisha Marie. And what's crazy is I would go to meetups and fans would bring the things I love, the things I was talking about, the Starbucks or the gift cards and all this stuff. And I saw how it was even working on a very manipulative-ish branding way, but at the same time I still loved those things. I just exaggerated it. And that's a lot of what YouTube is it's just exaggerated.
Is it still like that? So you have this moment where you said you look back at your channel and you're like, I didn't like the videos that I posted.
So what was interesting was around that time of just building this character, I was killing it. 5 million views, 6 million views, 10 million views. So obviously I was very proud of my channel. And I loved the content I was making. But quickly, this is around the time, 2017, fallish, around that time, YouTube really started playing with different algorithms. They may beg to differ with me on that, but I will go to my grave saying the algorithms changed. Where videos started having more of a shelf life. And a huge thing that I think a lot of OG creators do is they do get stuck in that mentality of, well, YouTube's changed, it's different, blah, 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 instead of evolving. And I think that's where I kind of had a moment realizing, wait, my views are going down. And now I'm embarrassed about the stuff I'm putting out because it's not performing well. That's a flag. Why am I embarrassed? Because when it was killing it and I was getting millions of views, it almost was, that was fine for me, but so completely. And quickly my views just started tanking. And that's when I realized not only do I don't like the content I'm putting up, I don't even know who I am. I'm totally burnt out. I've almost fallen out of love with something that I've been so passionate for a decade. And on top of it, the cherry on top was me realizing that I wanted to take a break for like a month, which isn't even that long, but it felt like eternity then, which was stupid. I wish I took more time. But at the time, speaking of OG creators, I had honestly never seen someone take a break and it be successful where it didn't hurt their channel. Never once. And I saw the Dolan twins do it, and they were the first people that I saw where it actually kind of worked, and it seemed like it worked great, and their views were still normal when they came back. So that really inspired me. And even when I thought about taking a break, I realized I have nothing tangible for all of my hard work. All I have are these views, which, cool, they're back to school videos that have like 30, 40 million views, but they're empty views. No big deal. Like a video could have been, sorry, oh my God. No, yes, no big deal. However, few things. One, that number could have been 50 million views or 100 million views, and I would have felt the exact same in that moment. It just felt, I don't know, not worth it. And back then you could only monetize with one ad, so I really missed out on all those. I know.
When we first started sponsoring some people in the lifestyle category, it was so clean aesthetic. You want to look as this perfect life. And it seems there's been this transition in the category, which you've also done, where it's now much more about authentic you. Emma Chamberlain is the one that I listened to your interview with her, which was great. But she seems to be one creator who really spearheaded that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I even explained to her in that podcast interview when we had her on Pretty Basic, I don't think she even understands how there was such a need for that. And I'm so grateful for her and other creators who are able just to be so vulnerable and not have that picture perfect world. Because it's so much more relatable. I think I had in my head relatable was a certain thing when in reality relatable is just being you and stuff. But yeah, I only had empty views and I didn't have a book deal. I didn't have a brand I was working on. I didn't have anything where a lot of my other, fellow creators actually had good business moves. After 10 years, I felt like I only had empty views and I wasn't even being real. So when you have new creators like Emma showing up, who's just so funny, so real, it was so inspiring to me to realize, okay, there's a shift going on here. Not only do I need to be a better businesswoman and actually have better products, like I know I'm so much smarter than just the talent on the screen. Why am I just putting all of my eggs in the YouTube basket? I need to have a podcast. I need to do this. And I feel like I've done a great job diversifying that way. And that's my number one tip to creators whenever I meet them. I'm like, do not put all your eggs in just one basket, because as we know, even though TikTok never went away, like the talk of it going away, so many creators had millions of views and they would have lost it in 2 seconds. So being able to kind of translate all of your hard work from, different places, I think is the best thing you could ever do.
So let's talk. So you have the YouTube channel, you have the podcast. You just announced, I think in February, a makeup palette with Tarte. Am I getting that
Cosmetics. Right? Yes. We have the main channel and the vlog channel. I have a love for the vlog channel because it is just my day-to-day. It's that very realness. And surprisingly, you can get a lot of brand deals on a vlog channel where, it's so diverse. I think for anyone who doesn't specialize, I think some people say you need to be super niche in categories, but I love my vlog channel because I could be mowing my lawn one day or I could be doing a makeup tutorial one day. Like, it's so different. You can do so much. The podcast with my best friend Remy is called Pretty Basic. We are currently nominated for a Webby Award, which is really exciting. So vote for us. What else? That's been something we've been loving doing. We're on season 3. We ended up having guests this last season, which we've been really excited for. And we did our collaboration with Tarte Cosmetics. So we did a makeup palette called the Pretty Basic palette, which is just basic colors because, again, we are not makeup artists. It's just, something that your average person would love to use. And we were really excited to be their first podcast collaboration. And yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. Definitely working on one thing I'm really excited for that's coming out has been the number one thing I've worked on ever in my career, which is coming out in the next few months, which I'm so excited for, a lot nervous for, but also really excited for. So that's also just getting into the more entrepreneur side of things. It's not public. I will say it's been pushed like a long time. So I'm just so eager for the announcement of it to come out. But I'm really, really proud and passionate for that and really excited.
Yes. One of your videos, the video that resonated most with me was, how can you make millions on YouTube in 2021?
Okay. Funny story about this. Wait, first of all, why? Tell me why. I need to get some insight.
I was like, I want to make millions on YouTube in 2021. It was great clickbait, but also you've been doing it for so long that there's an interesting level of like perspective that you're going to bring to the space.
That's so interesting because the videos that I've seen are usually brand new creators and they pop off in a month and then they're sharing their takes. So in my head, I'm always curious if people even want to hear my opinion of it which I mean, I know. I see.
Well, the first point I thought was interesting because I've heard it in a lot of places, but niche creators are exploding right now. And
yes,
everyone has that first part of the equation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which not everyone, but really smart people are saying that same thing, but you're identifying the second half, which is once you are that niche creator, do you still want to be that niche creator and be prepared for what that second step is?
Oh my gosh, I've had a handful of friends. I've even met with some new creators. I love meeting, especially brand new creators, and just whether it's mentoring or just giving advice or getting coffee, whatever. And I've had yes, I'm here. Any questions, ask away. And there were a couple of them who were very niche. They were known for whether it's like YouTube tips or photography or whatever, and YouTube loved it. And I love finding new creators. So I usually, my related is one thing that I love. I love finding new people. And, for someone who just starts to get 300,000 views on a room tour or a video, that's insane, especially when it's their, third video. That's not normal, And I've noticed time and time again, these creators, they love it, they get addicted to it, but this is a phenomenon that I think is so crazy. Everything is so much faster than it used to be. For instance, the wave of my career of getting burnt out took 10 years. And now I'm seeing brand new creators who are just starting getting burnt out so quick. And it's so mind blowing to me because it's almost as if everything's on 10 times speed. Even the era of Team 10 lasted how long? And Hype House was 3 times faster than that. Like the quickness of, oh yeah, they're kind of irrelevant now. Even just hearing that in the space, it was so interesting because, being there through the Team 10 era, that was a long time, And it's so weird to wonder, okay, who's going to be next? And are they going to be just hot for 2 seconds and then they're irrelevant? You know, the word irrelevant is like a trigger word to every single creator because you don't want to be that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the incredible pressure. The last podcast I interviewed this record label executive, and he said the toughest thing right now is on TikTok. You could explode the next day. So it's you put out a song, it goes 0 to 100, and now you have a top single, and now you're getting invited onto Fallon, you're getting invited onto these shows, and as a creator, it's just a really tough moment where on one hand you say, obviously I do all these things, but on the other hand, you're not ready for it because you haven't been doing this for very long. You've been doing it for a month.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. My friend of a friend, I saw someone tag it who I follow, but they're friends with the girl who did the cover of I Love You Baby, the tick, I love that one. And I don't even know her name, but I know the song. And I think that is one of the cons to this new era of virality where people can be viral in 2 seconds. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know that cover you did, but one, you probably didn't get any money from it because it's a cover. And two, I don't even know your name. So I'm not able to really follow you. And I think we're in this new time where views are really awesome and really cool, but I think people are going to realize quicker how they're not as cool as you maybe think, which I think, and here's the thing, I always contradict myself because I do think creators fall into two categories. You're either the entrepreneur creator, like who loves the creative, you know, you love making, you love creating, or you are someone who loves the fame and is the talent. Like we need both of those in this space and in the entertainment industry. So I do think some of the things I say are geared towards the creatives where I'm like, love what you do. Who cares? Don't just fall for trends, whatever. But then if I'm talking to, you know, the person who wants to be the next reality star, I would tell them to milk it and do whatever you got to do. So I'm always contradicting myself because I feel like I'm always thinking of two different creators. Definitely the creative. I think I could not ever survive as the reality star famous one. I love the behind the scenes. I don't know. Before I came to that realization that there are just different hats for people, I used to get very protective over YouTube because I was like, no. Like you, like, don't just come in here and like, I did not like Team 10 when they first started.
But one of the tips that really stuck out to me was treating your camera like it's FaceTime.
Yes, that's my biggest tip. Well, I have so many biggest tips.
That's a viral tweet. As someone who likes to tweet a lot, that is such a, if you wouldn't mind unpacking that, because I think it gets right into that authenticity thing, but it also, when as someone who is trying to do this podcast, there's so much anxiety around, I need to have the best possible camera and I need to look the best. I need to have the lighting the best. And I think people tend to overthink it, myself included. And line really just stood out to me.
I don't remember when I actually had that realization, but actually I think it was more because some of my favorite vlogs that I would put out, people would comment, this feels like we're on FaceTime. I love it. And that was a moment where I realized, ooh, there's something there. Why it is nice to not feel like it's so produced or like, you know, the perfect PR move or whatever. And I'm just talking to a friend. And that's how I think people have always in my genre really looked up to me, because whenever we would go on, we did a few different national tours and stuff. And my fans were insane. Like they're amazing. They're so loyal, so diehard. And people would always ask me, what are you doing different? Like, what's the secret here? How do I get that? You know? And I would always say it's my vlog channel. It's because it's real and it's because it's not produced. It's not this perfect world. And I think having that realization of, okay, this is just a FaceTime. Like I'm talking to people. This doesn't have to be perfectly thought out. Has helped so much. And honestly, having a podcast has helped me the most, because when we first started, I would have to censor everything in my head. I was so aware of what I was saying and if I'm rambling and blah, blah, blah. And realizing that people actually prefer that, it was crazy.
What you're tapping into there is just that authentic feeling like you are FaceTiming with someone. Like the word FaceTime implies that we're friends. And if we're friends, then you're building a community. And that community is what I think makes marketing to this platform so powerful, because if you're sponsoring your vlog channel, you are tapping directly into that FaceTime call. And if you can bring that to life, it's just such my God. That's why it outpunches its weight versus a TV commercial, because you're now part of the show.
Yeah. And one thing I wish influencers did more was be an influencer. Don't try to be a celebrity. I think a lot of people hated the title influencer because it has a bad connotation, blah, 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 whatever. I think if you can quickly get over that and realize I am an influencer. I influence people. That is my job. I'm going to rock that. I am not this celebrity god who's untouchable. I am someone who's actually close to the people that I talk to, the community. And that is so much better than, I think, a lot of people get some followers and some fame, and then they love being, as if they can't talk to people because I'm so busy. And then they lose their following. And I think that's the number one reason why I've been able to stay, dare I say, relevant or still doing this for so long, just because I quickly realized I'm not a Kylie Jenner. Like, I'm not even going to try to pretend to be, because I'm just not. And I think realizing that I'm not this celebrity who, is untouchable is so important. And the reason why I'm here, even sitting in this house, is because of the people watching my videos. So to still stay true to that, I think is so important.
And when you think forward, I think there's a perception, mostly because normal people, not that you're not normal, but people have 9-to-5 jobs, right? And there's this risk that I think I even have, where it's, what is a vlogger doing 5-10 years from now? Do you feel that pressure?
Yes. However, I am the queen of hyper focusing, which is why I think I'm good at what I do. And I try not to think too much about that.
Well, you're actually in a better spot if you play it out, because I could get fired tomorrow. Whereas you have that connection to that audience, and that is a resource that can follow you wherever you go. Do you think about where you want to be 5-10 years from now?
I'm not sure how much YouTube is in that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be a family vlogger, if that's even going to still be a thing, which I have so many opinions on that too. But I mean, I definitely just want to do it as long as I possibly can, but definitely being more on the entrepreneur side and, starting businesses and brands. And I would even love to teach people about this world. The amount of influencers who have come to me who just don't know how to do taxes, I'm like, girl, I got you. I feel you. I understand. It is such an interesting time that we're in, and it's weird because none of this was even here 6-8 years ago. So I'm so curious what the next 5 years are gonna really do, or if going back to the video though that you watched, the Making Millions one, something crazy happened out of it. And this is something else for influencers to just, you never know what could happen. I mentioned Mr. Beast in it because I had heard from a podcast or interview or something that he was really aiming to have higher audience retention, blah, 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 whatever. And I wasn't going to say it, but my producer, Taylor King, she's amazing. She was sitting there. She's like, no, you should say that. Like, you just told me that earlier today. So I ended up saying it. And then I get some DMs from people saying, Mr. Beast commented on your video. And I was like, what? Like, okay, like what? It was probably a spam one. Those spam robots that always comment in 2 seconds. But it was actually him, and he was like, haha, like at me or whatever when I mentioned him. So then I ended up DMing him and was like, hey, like, so random, but if you ever would like allow me just to get 2 minutes of your time, I would love to talk to you and just like hear, everything. Sweetest person I've ever met. Literally, fast forward a week, we're on a phone call, and I was like, hey, roast my channel. Like, you can literally make me cry. I don't care. Like, tell me what's wrong with it. And this was even just a few months ago. So even though I've been doing it for so long, like, there's still days where I have no idea what I'm doing. He was so blunt. He was just saying, well, did you think that video would get 10 million views? And I was like, no. Honestly, no. Now, it was just interesting seeing how he works and everything. And I was so appreciative of that, because when I first started, it was so much more competitive. Influencers did not share anything, did not share tips. It made me want to help more people.
Yeah, I think the context was, you said that he was aiming for 70% retention on his channel. One of your points in that, everyone focuses on making the thumbnail super clickbaity.
Yeah.
But
or the
if you're
views.
not actually getting retention,
yeah, it's
not going to work.
Exactly. I mean, it's time and time again. If my video is over 70% audience retention, it does great. It's just crazy because I used to never even pay attention to that. I didn't care if people watched long at all, as long as they clicked. And then quickly, YouTube realized, oh, clickbait is a thing. I milked that clickbait years ago. Oh my God, so bad. We all did, but so bad. But what was interesting was, the time in between of changing that, you kind of just had to figure it out of, oh, this doesn't work anymore. And instead of being so upset and keep trying to do what used to work, realizing, okay, things are different now. And on top of that too, there are just millions more creators than there used to be. You know, there used to be only 10, 20, and now there are so many. So realizing that, yeah, I used to get a whole bunch of views, but also that was, I mean, when I was doing back to school videos for kids who were in elementary school, middle school, high school, and now I'm doing truth or drinks where I'm drinking and it's definitely, you know, over 21 vibe. I can't expect to still get those views that I used to because it was just an entirely different audience.
How much does the algorithm scare you? In the TikTok world, it is completely an algorithm. In the YouTube world, massive algorithm. How much does that scare you?
It used to terrify me. I used to message my YouTube community manager every week, every video. Hi, can you check what's wrong with this? Why isn't this getting views? Like, what's going on? Poor Audrey. I love you. So sorry. At the time, it used to be every video I could calculate. One day, 1 million views. 2 days, 2 million views. It was such a formula. So when I uploaded a video and in a week it had 500,000 views, yes, that is still a shit ton of views, but it wasn't in my normal formula. It had to have been YouTube. It was definitely the algorithm. It for sure was never me or the content. And having that realization sucked. But now so much it doesn't scare me. I think I'm really good at realizing whatever, like, it's their platform. Let's just like adapt to it. For instance, when I post a podcast, you know, SEO works great on podcasts because people are searching what they're wanting to listen to. It's harder to find podcasts, so people usually search how to deal with a breakup. Versus YouTube, you know, SEO really isn't as popular as it used to be. So it's interesting trying to change hats on different platforms, realizing, okay, this is going to work better here. YouTube, people just want like better thumbnails or something that's interesting with like people they love, blah, blah, blah. They love storylines, whatever. And TikTok, I have no idea. I try to post as much as I can, but it's true. I used to get upset when I would post a video and it got 1 million views and then the next one got 30,000. That it's just a weird dynamic, but realizing that that's just kind of how it is now, it's crazy.
And then the final question that I ask everyone, what would be a failure or something you regret in the last year or so? There's a lot of success here, but also what would be something you would have done differently?
Great question. I mean, especially the world of COVID made videos very interesting. I think this is so cliche. I think just having more fun with it. Like now when I look back on my videos a year ago, I don't care necessarily what the views are at. I'm not stressing over if it performed the best or whatever. And just taking more wild cards, I think, would be great. I posted a video about a new car that I got at the end of last year. And it didn't perform that well. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sad, whatever. And then come to find out, I ended up getting an amazing connect at Aston Martin because of it. Because the CEO the president watched my video and like loved it. And realizing that success, when you post a video, what is successful about it? Is it the connects that you get out of it? Is it the views? Is it the monetary money? Is it the comments? Like what, like realizing that success comes in more ways than just numbers, which you'd figure I would know after all of this time, but it's still something I struggle with. But yeah, I think that would be it for sure.
Yeah, I truly felt that from your channel in a positive way, where I'm always like, I can make it a little bit better. And by the end, I feel like I sound so robotic and I've lost the personality that you've kind of been talking about who I am. And it comes forth in the podcast a bit, but my intros are just so stale. And I think I need to be, it inspired me is what I'm trying to say, to be a little bit more, have fun with my intros to the podcast.
Oh my God, totally. Also, another thing I would tell myself, people click the video and they saw the title. Like, I don't need 2 minutes explaining what the video is. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's...
I know. I'm not quite there in that my realization where I'm like, no, they need to know that.
Yeah. You're like, I need to explain.
Alisha has exactly this many Instagram followers and this many this. And I think you can overthink it to the point where you've lost the point.
Last summer, that was me. Every single video, I felt like I had to give the backstory and da-da-da and whatever. And it can get overwhelming. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody. That is the episode. Hope you liked it. I love that quote Alisha said about treating your camera like it's FaceTime. Because in my world, that is exactly why influencer marketing works and TV advertising is, dare I say, not as powerful. Because when you treat your camera like a FaceTime call, what you're implying is that your audience is your friend and the audience feels like they are on the other side of a phone call. And as a marketer, that is exactly what you want to tap into. That one-to-one connection, that connection between an influencer and their audience that's so intimate that it feels like it's FaceTime. doesn't feel like a TV show. It doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like a relationship. And that is why influencer marketing works, because you are tapping into that relationship. You can tell I'm a nerd because I'm still thinking about that. And this interview was, I don't know, a week ago. Anyway, before I leave you, you know the drill. I don't have any advertiser on this podcast. Definitely not because my podcast isn't big enough to have advertisers, but mostly because this is my advertisement. Before I leave you, if you could please give me a 5-star review, you could subscribe to the podcast. If you could tell a friend to tell a friend, all these things help gets the podcast out there, makes our numbers look better. And when the numbers look better, I feel better about myself because my ego is attached to social media and this podcast. So please do that. I'll see you next week.